you see a perfect world and the. Hey everyone. Today we're discussing food exploration, social media, and home improvements. Just go ahead and jump on into our first topic: culinary adventures and food exploration. Question 1. Share a memorable culinary adventure or food exploration experience. What made it special, and how did it broaden your appreciation for different cuisines? So, a couple years ago, I decided to grow some Carolina Reapers. I loved growing a large garden in my backyard, and I love hot peppers, and I usually grow a lot of cayenne pepper, and I do habaneros, and I really wanted to take it a step higher. So I decided to grow some Carolina Reapers. First year I tried them, they did not go. I think it was too hot, or I was still learning how to do the whole seed propagation. But the following year, I got a couple good plants growing, and was really excited by the end of the year. You know, get these peppers that just have this nodule on them, and they look all shriveled and nasty, and it really shows the depth of what you're in for. I wasn't as adventurous, and was one of those that ate the whole pepper. I didn't want to feel that much later. You know what I'm talking about, coming out the other end. But I decided to make it into a sauce. And I roasted some garlic, roasted some onion, put them all in a food processor, as well as a couple other things, and made it into this amazing, just in a little hot sauce jar. I'll show a picture of the final product. But that was the most amazing hot sauce that I have ever made or tasted myself. So with the Carolina Reaper, usually when you get, I shouldn't say usually, but a lot of times when you get something that's really hot, you kind of lose the flavor aspect of it, and it just ends up just singeing your whole mouth, and you can't really taste anything. But with the Carolina Reaper, it has this amazing aroma to it that it smells amazing in the first place, but then you taste it and you get this notes of everything with it. This floral and just really, really amazing. So with my food, I only had to put these tiny amounts in it, and it would literally change the whole way that dish tasted. Of course, it is spicy, but it wasn't unbearable. If you even put just a little bit on there, you'd get the hints of all that flavor from it. I haven't grown any since then. I've since used all of my hot sauce, unfortunately. I ended up selling quite a bit of it, turn a profit. But I this past year made some out of just habaneros, and it's not the same. So next year, I really want to redo that. Another thing about food exploration, when I was in South Africa, I obviously had an entirely new cuisine to eat. And at first, one of the first meals that I was given when I was there was a very just traditional meal that the Africans would eat, and it's called pap, PAP, and it's like a corn maize meal. When they cook it, boiling water, and they stir in, it almost looks like they're pouring in dried mashed potatoes. But you start, and it starts solidifying, and it almost looks like mashed potatoes when it's done, but it's, I don't know, more stiff. And usually there's some complimentary dip something on the side, like a sauce. And there's several different types of ways that you can go about making the sauce. Some are really more meat based, or some are more vegetable based. First time I ate it, it was really hard to eat, because the pop itself isn't really that flavorful, and that was new for me, because coming where I grew up, everything this has its own flavor, this has its own flavor, and the pop, I wasn't used to having something kind of just as okay, this is going to be your filler, and everything else is going to be your flavorant for that filler. Because it is an enriched thing, and kind of the pop was originally introduced as a vitamins and minerals and just something to supplement nutrition for the lesser income people. But a lot of people just end up eating it. But towards the end of my 2 years there, I got a really good liking towards pop, and I actually enjoyed it. And I can't make it myself. I don't know how to make it. I don't even know if they have the right ingredients here. I've been to some like South African stores that are here, and I haven't really seen like the same stuff that was out there in South Africa. But I kind of take it as a thing of like, if I visit there again in the future, it's going to be something that I really like cherish, because, it's going to bring me back to when I was living out there. But yeah, that was a good experience and something different. Question 2. Discuss your favorite cooking styles or techniques. How do they influence the flavors of your dishes, and what culinary traditions do you find most intriguing? Well, I cook with a lot of meats and vegetables. I do like cooking a lot, and I try to be like as healthy as I can when I do my cooking. And I do eat just a lot of meats and chickens and steaks, and just any variations of that, roasts, etc. And I don't know. I've never really like have a style of cooking per se. I usually just look in my fridge and go, okay, well, what do I have here and what can I throw together? I'm not one that follows cookbooks. I'm not one that really follows recipes unless I'm baking, because that takes a whole different like scientific approach to it. And some people can eyeball baking. I have no clue how they do that. If I try to eyeball baking, that does not turn out well. Everything will turn flat and rock hard and all the like. But when it comes to cooking, I very rarely have a dish that I kind of turn my nose up at. It's just something that I've always enjoyed. But what culinary traditions do I find most intriguing? I mean, I'm very open and broad with what I eat. My wife and I love going out to eat at local restaurants, and we try to be as diverse as we can. I've got my young kid. He's just over 2.5 now, and we have introduced him to all these different types of cuisines, and it's nice to see him. We go into an Indian restaurant and we get this rice and curry, and he'll just sit there and eat with us, and he doesn't think anything of it. He doesn't sit there and ask for chicken nuggets or anything like that. I didn't want to raise him that way, so he eats pretty much all the things that we eat. And yeah, out here, luckily where I'm at, there's quite a bit of diversity in the restaurants. Some of them aren't as good as others, but there's a good bit of diversity, and I really enjoy that. I would say one of my more favorites is Indian restaurants. Yeah. Question 3. Encourage viewers to step out of their culinary comfort zones. What advice do you have for those looking to explore new foods and cooking styles? Well, I mean, guess like what I was just saying. There's a lot of local restaurants. If you haven't gone out to see what kind of local restaurants you have, or some of the smaller ones, the hole in the walls, a lot of those places are generally like startups, places that are people that want to have a restaurant, but they're starting with what they can. Just talked about Indian, but there is a very small restaurant that opened up a couple years ago, and it was unfortunately a few months right before the whole COVID crap happened. And we went there, and it was amazing food, and he was like doing really well, and he was telling us how excited he was because he used to work at this other restaurant, and he decided, because he had all these ideas for dishes, and they kept like turning their nose away from it and not wanting to implement them, and he's like, well, screw you guys, I'm gonna go and do my own restaurant. So he did. He started his own restaurant, and it was amazing. And unfortunately, COVID happened, and I was afraid that he was going to go under, because a lot of restaurants didn't have the ability to stay afloat during that time. Luckily he did, because his food was amazing. And still to this day, he's doing extremely well. Every time we go in there, he recognizes us at this point, and he's seen our kid basically from an infant up until now. He's running around and talking, and it's fun to get a relationship with these people that are these startup restaurants, and it's just nice to see a bit of their culture and their excitement as they're starting up their own restaurants. So aside from that, there's also like little markets here and there. Like here we have like a Chinese market and an India market, and I know a lot of cities and towns have these little like pockets of these where they like all of ours are generally in like the same street in same area, and it's just like it's this big cultural diversity food marketplace. And you can go in there and you walk into like the Chinese market, and if you're used to only going to major grocery stores and you walk into those, it's going to be a complete it's going to be a culture shock for you. It's going to be something that you haven't seen before. You're going to look at the things that they eat, and you can like wonder how to even do something with it. And I encourage you to do that. Go into these markets and find something that you have no clue what it is, and look up what that is and how to cook with it, and you can try to do these cooking styles on your own. And as you do that more and more and more, you'll start to have a new palate because you're tasting these new foods, and you are going to be able to experience their own culture, whether you're going to the restaurants or making it for your own self. You get a bit of what the world has to offer. Let's move on. The impact of social media on society. Oh boy. Social media. Okay. Question 1. In your opinion, what are the most significant positive influences of social media on modern society, and how have they shaped the way we connect and communicate? Oh, positive. Okay, I'm thinking positive right now. I guess just that last part of it. The good thing about social media is it's allowed people to stay connected a lot easier, rather than having to pick up the phone and call somebody, or having to text them, asking them for pictures to see what's going on in their life. That becomes a lot harder when you're just relying on email or text or video call or any of that. And then social media came along, and it opens up this door for people to share, what they're doing all the time, and they can put pictures on there, and this is my family, this is what I'm doing, and then like you get to see people as they're growing up and getting older. Well, that's great. Positive. I think it's going into negative next. I think I saw that quote. Yes. So the next question. Okay, I'll go negative next. Positive now. When I went to South Africa, that is about when Facebook opened up to the public instead of just being, I think they started off as like a college only thing. So Facebook just started to really get big. And it was about halfway through my time in South Africa that happened. And I remember towards the end of my mission seeing some of the people that I had met from my previous areas and being able to click them as a friend. And then I get home, because I'm not spending a whole lot of time on social media when I was out there. When I got home, being able to suddenly just see their life while I'm not there, and keep in contact with them, because you get these relationships with people, and I didn't want to forget about them. And that was really cool, I guess, to be able to see what they were doing and how they were progressing, and what they were doing in their families, and that was fun. I will admit that was really fun. And then years went on, and now let's go to question 2. Explore the negative aspects of social media and its impact on mental health, relationships, or societal dynamics. How can individuals navigate these challenges? Okay, this has been myself as well, because I started noticing it in myself. the endless scrolling and bloat, just unnecessary bloat in my life. While it's nice to see what everybody else is up to, you're seeing what everybody else is up to. And I know that this is I know everybody knows this, but the more you see other people's lives, but only on what they're choosing to share, I did this, that was super cool. I did this, that was super cool. I did this, that was super cool. But not a lot of people share, I did this and I failed. I did this and I did not like it. I did this and, it made me sad. A lot of people don't share that stuff. So you're sitting here looking at everybody's perfect lives, and then suddenly the only things that they're complaining about is society. And they're just complaining about, the government is doing this, and this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening, and the world is falling apart, and on and on and on and on. And it's like you see a perfect world and the world. And it really started getting me bogged down. And I would just sit here and just get irritated and irritated and irritated going through social media, to the point where I finally told myself, okay, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I cannot keep looking at this all day because it's such a habit. I open up my phone, boop, scroll down, open up social media, and suddenly I'm, and by social media, I meant Facebook, because at the time, Facebook was the biggest thing. This was, 3 years ago now. I decided I'm just going to uninstall Facebook from my phone. And when I get onto my computer, if I decide to go onto Facebook, then yeah, sure, I'll go on Facebook. I never since then have gone onto Facebook and just scrolled through a timeline. I still have Facebook so I can sell stuff on the marketplace, but I have not once scrolled through a timeline ever since I uninstalled the app, because it wasn't just at my fingertips. And that was the easiest way for me to just get it away from my life, but not completely like uninstall everything. I've since gone through and removed a whole bunch of crap about my life from Facebook, because it's unnecessary. I don't need people to see all that about me. The only things that I really care about is my family. My family is what matters. And I think that's what a lot of people start to forget about as they indulge themselves. And I mean indulge themselves in social media. And that can be anything. TikTok. I've never been on TikTok. I've seen videos from TikTok, but I've never been on TikTok. I've never been on there's another big one. I can't even think of the names of them right now because they're just not that focused on my life. So what I'm getting at is I don't want to talk about how to navigate these challenges, because I feel like people that have recognized that it's a challenge have taken those steps and don't want that in their life. And for me, that's what I did. I uninstalled it from my phone and found myself never missing it, not going back to it. And I just have that much more time to be, to myself or with my family. Question 3. Discuss the evolving role of social media in shaping cultural trends and influencing public discourse. How has it changed the way information is disseminated and consumed? Holy cow, everybody knows everything instantly. The second something happens anywhere in the world, it is spread like wildfire, and boop, there you go. Everybody has it. Twitter, that was the other one I was thinking about. Twitter is so big at this, the trendings and, all that crap. It gets people really worked up. And we've seen that in the past few years. People take something and everybody suddenly hears about it, and the fear mongering and scare tactics and all of that, it's just, people compound on it. And what spreads better, good news or bad news? Everybody's going to say bad news. Bad news people remember more. That's a proven thing. Everybody remembers the bad things that happen. And yes, I'm in our own lives. Yes, I remember a lot of good stuff that happens, but if something bad happens, it suddenly consumes everything about me, and suddenly I forget about all those good things that happen, because right now I'm in this terrible place. And that happens whenever there's anything big. Like right now, one of the big things that's happening, and I'm not following it a whole lot because I don't need to, is the war, Hamas and Gaza and all that. And yes, it's terrible, and I hate war, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous and stupid, because we're all people with just, why do we need to just go and kill? And I don't understand that. But anyways, that's what I'm getting at. It spreads, and it gets people down, and suddenly that's all they focus on, and they're sad, and they're not spending that, happy times with their family, and their conversations are only around like the bad, instead of, what can we do in our lives, and how can I make my kids' lives and my wife's life, how can I make everybody's life better, and how can we be happy? And that's what life should be about, is growing and getting, better for ourselves. And again, this is my personal feelings on that, and I'm sorry if you think opposite, but my family is all that matters to me, and I'm going to do what it takes to be with them. So that's social media. And next topic, DIY and home improvement. Question 1. Share a DIY project or home improvement endeavor that you found particularly rewarding or challenging. What did you learn from the experience? So when we moved into this house, one of the things that we really wanted to do was open up from our living room and our kitchen, because it's like you walk into our house and we awkwardly have 2 front doors. Not even front doors, they're like side doors, like 2 side doors. One goes into our kitchen, one goes into our living room. And the living room kind of just ended up being this room that nobody used, because it was like awkwardly placed, and it always was like a weird temperature, because there's this big window in there that was north facing, but there wasn't really anything else in the whole house. And so we had to like either air condition or heat the rest of the house, which made this other room really weird. And so we ended up being downstairs in our basement for like our hangout area. So it was either like the kitchen or downstairs. And this other room just ended up just not being used. So we really wanted to get rid of that wall that was between those 2 rooms, so that we could just have a big open area. Our roof ended up leaking one year. Luckily, it was before winter hit, but we noticed the water started coming through the drywall, and we were like, okay, well, we need to replace the roof, because it was an old tar and gravel, and it had been the original roof since the house was built back in like 63. So it was due. So anyways, we had a company come out, and this was not something that I wanted to do myself. So had them, take off all the tar and gravel, and they started pulling up like rotten, moldy pieces of wood. Some of them were still okay, but other ones were bad. Well, when they're up there, I was like, oh, I want to go see if that wall that was separating is a load-bearing wall, which means there's like supporting beams that were on that wall. So if you remove that wall, you have risk of like your roof sagging. Or it could be not a load-bearing wall, which means the other walls would be load-bearing, and this one is just, like scabbed up there. Safely you can remove it. So anyways, I hop up there after they'd removed some of the wood, and I saw, oh, it's not a load-bearing wall. I'm free to take out this wall. That's awesome. And that's what I did. Very shortly after that, I decided to go ahead and just cut down that wall. And we had a little island that went across. So I kept it, the wall at the island level, so that we could have a company come in and put down some new countertops for us. And then I did all the rest of the wall removal. And it changed our house completely. And that was the best thing that I've ever done to this house, is remove that wall. Suddenly, the temperature awkwardness and the weird little doorway that went into there was not there anymore. So like I could be cooking in the kitchen while my wife is sitting hanging out, and I could be talking and just enjoying company, instead of me being secluded in the kitchen, and if I needed to say something, either yelling downstairs or having her come up. Um, it was really nice. So now we had this open area, and at the same time, my wife was expecting our child. So that really was like a push for me to get it done and get that open area. And that's been the best thing with having our kid. Again, I wanted to have an area where I could be cooking and making food for us, and being able to see my kid still, keeping an eye on him, and likewise with my wife, since she's going around cleaning and cooking and doing whatever, she could likewise keep an eye on him while I'm working or being outside or something. So anyways, that was one of the best things that I've ever done to our house. Number 2, discuss the satisfaction of creating something with your own hands. How has engaging in DIY projects contributed to your personal well-being and sense of accomplishment? Biggest thing I love about DIY is just the sense of accomplishment. Knowing that I did it, and if I'm doing it, I want to know how it was done and that I did it like right. And while it might not look perfect to the eye, I know that like structurally what I've done is sound. And I guess that's the difference. Like some people just like to have everything look pristine perfect, but to get pristine perfect, you have to know that the company that is going to be doing something for you is going to do like the structural side of it that you don't see right, as well as the finishing side right. And while I'm not a master at everything, I am, like a jack of all trades. I can do a bit of everything. So when I did our wall removal, I, removed the wall, cut out all of that stuff. I did the electrical. I redid all the drywalling. I did all the texturing, and that involved moving some of our cabinetry as well. So, I did the cabinetry, moving that. The only thing I didn't do was the countertops, because we got, I think it's quartz countertops. I'm not going to sit and polish and cut quartz. So we had a company come in, they just laid that down, sealed that and whatever. That was quick and done. They were in and out in a couple hours. I did all the rest of the flooring in the house because now we had this, empty spot and we really wanted to redo the flooring. So I ended up redoing all the flooring. And while redoing the flooring, I found some areas like, especially in the bathrooms around the toilets and bathtubs that was, rotting and sinking. And so I went through and replaced some with subflooring. And again, going back to the whole, I know I'm doing it myself and I know I'm doing it the right way. It might not look pristine perfect. There's some areas that if you really look at it, and especially me, I know what I did. And so I know where some of the flaws are, but I'm okay with those because 1, I did it. 2, I saved a crazy amount of money doing all this work myself. So far in this house, I've removed the wall, redone cabinetry, moved the entire kitchen around. I built a pantry in the corner, redone all the electrical for all those areas, installed pot lighting, redone the flooring, repaired the flooring, did all the baseboards, put crown molding up in a room. Downstairs in our basement, we used to rent it out before we had a kid. Now that we have a kid, we didn't. But when we did, I put a kitchen down here. And the list goes on and on and on and on. I lost count of the tens of thousands of dollars of work that I've done to this house, and I've spent $5,000-6,000 maybe on the biggest portions of it. And that's one of the other big things, is to be able to do things yourself, is to know that you did it and the cost savings. And to me, that's always been such a driving factor. When I think about, getting somebody to do it, yes, it would be great to just have them in and done and then it's over with. But, then I'm having to fork over that money. So if you have the money, great. But not everybody just has money to just flip out like that. So that's one of my driving factors. Let's see. Last question, question 3. Offer practical tips for individuals interested in starting their own DIY projects or home improvement tasks. What resources or tools do you find essential for beginners? YouTube. If you don't know how to do something, You go on YouTube and type it in, whatever it is you're doing. If it's not on YouTube, there's probably a forum somewhere. Just search that in YouTube or Google or wherever you search, and you're gonna find something on whatever it is that you're doing. Nearly everything that you're doing. If it's a home improvement task, it's gonna be there. So that's a huge, massive resource that we have today. Before you had to, go and find these DIY books, and while those books are great, it's also nice to see, like in a video format, what they're doing, how they're doing it, and how long it takes or how much skill it takes. Any of that. The other side is start small. If you're gonna plan to do something big, like if you've never done any flooring before, if you have a shed outside, try just to do the flooring in the shed. It's a small area. You're going to require pretty much all the same cuts that you're doing in the house, because you've got your door and little cutouts, and that's going to teach you, like, oh crap, well I messed up there. I'm really glad I didn't do that mess up in the house or with more expensive materials. If you don't have a shed and you want to learn how to do wall building and all that, look up the framing requirements of a house. Like, what are your building codes? And yes, you can go through codes and whatnot, but it's just good to build things up to that standard just in case. So look up what those codes are and build a shed according to home standards. And that could be everything, going from the studs to the corners to the roof lining, how you attach the roof, if you need hurricane straps, if you want to do drywall on the inside. Keep in mind, if it's a shed on the outside, you're going to want to make sure that no water is going to get down in between your studs. So, how are you going to waterproof the outside? There's waterproofing material and wrap and Tyvek wrap. And that can go into, is it going to be wet inside the shed? If it's going to be outdoors, it'd probably be best to use some sort of green board, which is usually the kind of drywall that they put in bathrooms, especially around like the bathtub, because it doesn't like swell up like drywall does, normal drywall. You could go through this whole like steps on how to learn to do this, and yes, it might cost you $1,000 to maybe do a good size shed, but if you do it on your own and you learned that skill, you can do that for yourself whenever in your house. If you wanted to redo an entire room or take down a wall, if you don't have the ability to what just happened? Sorry about that. Battery died on the camera. Anyways, I was talking about the shed. Where was I? If you do it yourself, then you have the skill to be able to do that. And if you decide to like remove a wall, you can do all those repairs and patches because you've already done that before. And if you had to do the flooring, you would know how to do that to a little extent. So being able to do these in small things, around your backyard or shed or a little room in your house, it's really good experience to be able to do that for larger projects then, because you've made those mistakes on something small and insignificant. And then there's what we were talking about in the last question, the cost savings to it. It's going to be significantly cheaper for you to do it yourself. And then you get that skill, and you have no clue where that skill is going to transfer to other parts of your life. The ability to, lay flooring and do that right, you don't know where that skill is going to transfer to. And when it does, you'll be grateful for it. So yeah, that's really all that we got for today. So thank you. I appreciate it. Be sure to like and subscribe, and have a good day.